Good day, everyone. Good day to you, sir. I am Marc, Allem, and Pajo, the first reporter of Group 7, in which we will tackle about sole proprietorship. Yes, I believe that we already have a background on what sole proprietorship is because it has already been discussed in our previous subjects or even in senior high if you are an ABM. So we will just give you a review about sole proprietorship, or we can add some informations. Then the group 7 consists of 5 members, and yours truly, Pajo Marc Allem, then Pagod Ron Adrian, TAGUPA Beatrice, CABULAO JECEL Angela, and lastly Tagle Gerald. Before that, let me give you an introduction about our topic for today. So, starting a business is a dream that many Filipinos share, and doing so has the potential to be one of the most fulfilling careers you could imagine. As a business owner, you get to make a decent income while being your own business. So, what could be better? Yes, no, if na mag-own kag business, kanang naadjud kay dako nga income or source of income kay if trabaho ra alone, like magbili ka nang hinay ang progress. So why could you venture out sa business kay basin mo successful ka wata kay ba. Make no mistake, opening your own business is a lot of work. Yes, nang dili ra dali jud ang pag-open sa business, na jud ka na moagi jud kag struggles. So the road to success won't be easy. I agree to that. But it is possible to be successful as a business owner. Having a great idea for a business is an important first step to make among many others. Of course, kay if mag-plan kag magtukod kag business, dapat kaybaw ka or naka better idea kung unsay mo itukod jud nga business, di kay pataka-taka kag ala sige magtukod tag business pero wala ka kaybaw unsay mo itukod nga business. So sayang ra pod kung kanang mauwi ra sa kanang wala, no? So there are a lot of requirements and processes you must complete to get up and running. In addition to licenses, you must obtain and government say agencies that must be involved. Yes, kay sa pagtukod og business na adjure ka ng mga requirements, wagi pa kag mga processes sa mga government agencies nga dapat nimo ma-obtain. And it ma-discuss just for further kanang reporters na to. Asa naman ko. So in this post, we will detail the steps you must take to start up your own sole proprietorship. Yes, nadyo na yung mga steps, and also will also include some helpful tips on how to be successful and practices you should avoid. So what I am going to discuss to you is about programs and policies. So we all know that a sole proprietorship is the most basic type of business organizations you can run in the Philippines. Yes, kung ang sole proprietorship like more basic and easy to establish, especially here in Philippines. So it can be established by just one person, referred to as a sole proprietor. So kanang a sole proprietorship type of business is owned only by one person, or it is sometimes called sole proprietor. Okay, essentially your business in a sole proprietorship is an extension of yourself. So the assets and liabilities of your business are also your own assets and liabilities. Yes, it is owned and run by one individual who receives all profits. Wow. But has unlimited responsibility for all losses and debts. Yes, if ikaw magbalak kag magtukod kag your own business as a sole proprietor, so imuha na nga business na ata na nimo ang profits, but ikaw po mo shoulder sa mga losses and debts. A sole proprietorship, also known as the sole trader or simply a proprietorship, is a type of business entity that is owned and run by one individual and which There is no legal distinctions between the owner and the business. Some formal definitions of a sole proprietorship are a business owned by one person is entitled to all of its profits by Gloss and Baker. And for the other in kanang definition, a business owned and controlled by one man even though he may have many other persons working for him. It is defined by Reed and Conover. So the individual entrepreneur owns the business and is fully responsible for all its debts and legal liabilities. The owner receives all profits subject to taxation specific to the business and has unlimited responsibility for all losses and debts. Every asset of the business is owned by the proprietor, and all debts of the business are the proprietor's. This means that the owner has no less liability than if they were acting as an individual instead of as a business. Yes, it is a sole proprietorship in contrast with partnership. So lahi ra ang sole proprietorship jud compared to sa partnership. Kaya ang partnership is madiscuss pa rin siya sa other groups. So why choose a sole proprietorship? A sole proprietorship is a great option for any Filipino who dreams about starting his or her own company. As previously stated, a sole proprietorship is the most basic form of business you can operate. No? So, if magganahan gay kag tukod og business, so mag-sole proprietorship sa kag-una if kanang ganan sa kagkuan kay di ba sa in our lives ang success is magsugod yun na sa ubos hangtod sa magpasaka. So di kaysa kung diretso mangod kag taas njug mahagbong ka so, sakit yun na no, basta dako ay magsugod sa taas hagbong kaysa maguna ka sa ubos padong pataas. A sole proprietorship can be run with just one person, meaning you will not be required to work for anyone or have anyone work under you. Just note that, like, for example, most basic example man gani like sari-sari store, ikaw ray mag-manage, then kay dili wala ka na under sa like mas taas pa nimo kay imuha man na. Of course, from the meaning itself. Then, since you will not have any employees working for you, you will be able to keep all the profits on your own. Yes, wala kay swelduhan. Pero naman gupoy uban pud nga sole proprietorship like owned by individual nga napoy ka ng mga employees. Pero usually, a sole proprietorship is like kanang run by an individual or siya. You will be able to keep all yes. In addition, a sole proprietor business is easier to set up and register. It requires little amount of capital to start, has lower cost in regards to government permits and licenses, and has less regulations than other type of business. So diri sa tasa, sole proprietor business is easier to set up and register. Yes, I agree. Kaya ang sole proprietorship man jud siya is like ngano makaingon tagdali ra siya kanang i-set up ug i-register kay kanang gamay ra ang mga pangayoong papers sa government. Then it requires a little amount of capital to start. Yes, kay kanang ikaw ra man ana, so dili gud kanang palabig pabongga diretso, so mag-search kas kinagamyan di kanang so gamay ra ang gamit nimo nga capital ana. Has lower cost in regards to government permits and licenses. Lower cost siya kay gamay raman ang i-comply nimo. Char, kimchu. And has the regulations than other types of business. So ang mga kanang ipang-comply nimo like sa government permits and licenses, ma-discuss siya sa further reporters og sa next report kay napamanisumpay na siya. Stay tuned na lang. So that would be all for my report for now. Napani siya part 2 nga i-upload pa ni siya next May 4. Yeah. So the next reporter will be TAGUPA Beatrice, and I hope you learned something about my report. And that would be all. Thank you. Bye bye.
How to get funded? If you are like many other Filipinos, you will need some financial help to get your business up and running. That's where a personal loan can assist. A personal loan can provide you with the upfront funding you need to open your business doors. There are many options when considering to apply for bank personal loans in the Philippines. To get an estimate, we suggest you use your use our personal loan calculator to help find a financial institution, loan rate, and repayment term that work best for you. Becoming a business entity. Unlike LLCs and C and S corporations, you don't need to create a sole proprietorship business entity that's distinct from your personal legal identity. In other words, you don't need to register a sole proprietorship with your state Secretary of State, and you don't need to create bylaws or articles of incorporation. You do, however, have to get all of the business licenses required for any business in your state and city, including state and city business licenses and any licenses or permits specific to your industry. This may include medical licenses for doctors and food service permits for restaurants. Sole proprietorship business autonomy. As long as you operate within the limits of the law, you can run your sole proprietorship business as you see fit. You can choose the products and services you sell and the target market you serve. The governing law of sole proprietorship businesses leaves considerable leeway in everything from operations to accounting conventions. You can create a business model and work schedule that meets your personal needs. As long as they are financially viable and sustained, you will enough to continue operating as a sole proprietorship business. This freedom is not found with entities such sole proprietorship and corporations and non-profits, which must have boards of directors who make executive decisions and determine the company's strategic direction.
Good morning, everyone. So I am CABULAO JECEL Angelasi, the third reporter of Group 7. So taxable earning is the profit or loss of a sole proprietorship is taxed as the owner personal earnings or losses. For federal income taxes, sole proprietors are required to complete Form 1040 Schedule C, which summarizes business income by listing gross revenue and all types of business expenses your company incur. So these include payroll, materials, rent, advertising, repair, and maintenance, and deduction for business use of your personal automobile, excluding your mileage, commuting to and from work. So if your sole proprietorships earn a net profit, you must enter the sum on your Form 1040 as business income. If your business incur an operating loss, you can use this amount to offset earnings from other sources, such as additional jobs you held throughout the year. However, if you consistently report business losses, the Internal Revenue Service may designate your business as a hobby and prohibit you from deducting losses in subsequent years. In addition to the Social Security, Medicare, and income taxes that you have to pay on all types of work income, sole proprietorship earnings are also subject to an additional self-employment tax equal to the matching amount your employers pay when you work in conventional jobs. So, taxable income or taxable earning is the portion of an individual's or company income used to calculate how much tax they owe to the government in a given tax year. So that is for the taxable earning. So next is the bank account. So the bank account is an financial account maintained by a bank or other financial institution in which the financial transaction between the bank and the customer records. So you are not legally required to keep a separate bank accounts for your sole proprietorship. So for your business. Although it is certainly good practice to do so. Even if you use your personal account to pay for business expenses and to cash business checks, you must still keep accurate records that allows you to sort out which checks and deposits were for your business and which were for personal transaction. Keep track of all your receipts and invoices and maintain an up-to-date bookkeeping system. Okay, so next is the insurance. So, insurance is a contract represented by a policy in which an individual or entity receives financial protection or reimbursement against losses from insurance company. So, legally, you are not required to carry liability insurance for many types of sole proprietorship businesses. But, it is a good idea to do so, because a sole proprietorship business isn't a legal financial entity that's separate from the individuals who owns it. All your personal assets may be at risk if someone is harmed as a result of your business activities. In addition to liability insurance, it is a good idea to carry commercial auto insurance if you use your car extensively for business, and also to get coverage for your business assets such as equipment and real estate. So, through insurance, it protects businesses from losses due to events that may occur during the normal course of business. So, that's all for my report. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir. So, I will talk about the advantages of sole proprietorship. So, the first advantage of sole proprietorship is that it is easy to establish. So, sole proprietorships are inexpensive and easy to form. As long as you are the owner and in charge of operations, there's no need to formally register your business or notify federal or state offices. The only thing you need to do is to register your business name and apply the appropriate licenses and permits. So next is that the necessary licenses will vary according to your industry and operations. So for example, you are into food industry, you need to have a health card and the sanitary permit. So next is the ability to operate as a sole proprietor without formal registration or high costs. It's especially beneficial if you're building your startup as a side gig outside your regular day job. So, for example, you're into photography and it is your passion and you're working hard for it every day. So, day by day, your name is becoming became known to people, and maybe in the near future you will have your own studio and make it as your own business. So next is that you can protect the name of your sole proprietorship. So as a sole proprietor, the legal name of your business is your personal name. Alternatively, you can file a doing business as or DBA with your state or county clerk's office, which allows you to operate a business under a name that's different than your own. So, what is the difference between trademarks and DBAs or doing business as? So, trademarks exist to grant exclusivity to the business owner, helping them differentiate their product or service from their competition. Alternatively, a DBA is non-exclusive. There can be multiple businesses under the same name and exist to protect the public by providing record of the person behind the business in question. So, example of DBA is that is Ron doing business as um, Ron's Trucking and Howling. So that's one example of DBA. So next is that there is no limit to number of people you can hire. There is no limit to the number of people you can employ as sole proprietor, and this allows you to grow your reach and your team without taking the leap to formally incorporating your business. But there are also risks associated with this. As the owner of a sole proprietorship, you are personally liable for the well-being and payment of your employees. So next is that you have complete control as the owner. Sole proprietorships are automatically tied to you personally, and this gives you complete control over the company and its trajectory. There's no need to make decisions based on the wants of shareholders or the requirements of legal partners. In short, you're free to make your own decisions. You don't need others people opinions to do what you want to do. Um, Especially in managing your business. So next is that sole proprietorships are often a stepping stone to incorporation. So before it became eBay, the online trading platform was a sole proprietorship owned by Pierre Omidyar and operated under the business name Auction Web. So um, I think a business idea came from a single person, and and it is natural for that person to operate the business solely because maybe he or she still he or she maybe he or she can still handle it or manage it on his or her own. So every day or day by day, your business will grow and improve. So in uh, in and through that, you are having a hard time um, managing your business because your business um, grew. So you need partners to help you manage your business. So uh, corporations really sole proprietorships are really a stepping stone to a corporation. So yes. Another is that there are some tax benefits for a sole proprietorship. So instead of business having to file its own tax return, sole proprietors claim businesses gains and losses on their own individual tax return. Also, the sole proprietorship is taxed using individual income tax rates rather than corporate, making it simpler and cheaper to comply with your tax obligations. And lastly, the sole proprietors can employ others and grow their business. Sole proprietorships can hire others and enjoy the tax benefits from doing so. Additionally, spouses of the owner can work for the sole proprietorship without being declared as an employee. So that would be all. Thank you.
So, good evening everyone. So, I'm gonna talk about the disadvantages of sole proprietorship. So, the first disadvantage is the personal liability. So, the same way sole proprietorships afford you the freedom to operate as you see fit, adhering only to licensing mandates without registration or shareholders. This freedom comes with responsibility. So, as sole proprietor, you are personally liable for paying contractors, honoring debts, paying the necessary taxes and insurance for your employees, and any legal contingencies. So, you are the only owner of the business. Uh, you you own the business solely. So, you have the responsibility to pay your to pay what needs to be paid. Yes, so if your sole proprietorship is sued for malpractice or bankruptcy, For example, your personal assets, including your home, cars, and bank accounts, can be seized to cover these expenses. So, if your business goes bankrupt or goes down, your personal assets will cover your expenses. So this differs from other business structures in which a business is legally separated from its owner and there's no risk to personal assets. If an employee is injured, the company is sued or debts aren't repaid. Even if you're individual freelancer, it's important to be aware of self-employment taxes that must be paid to cover social security and Medicare. So next is the difficulty raising money. So the personal liability of a sole proprietor represents risk, and for this reason, banks can be hesitant to lend money or issue credit under this business structure. Samot na if mo pay pagsugod nimo o creating a business, like wala pa ka create name. So it's also more difficult as a sole proprietor to generate buy-in from investors, as the company is not formally recognized and is not designated to have shareholders. So it is literally difficult raising money, especially if you're the only one funding or creating the business. So di pa to paras o di paras if group mo like matampo-tampo ninyo, so lisod jud in sole proprietorship. Samot na if you have you don't have enough funds to fund your business. So consider so there are financing options. So the two types of financing options are bootstrapping and crowdfunding. So bootstrapping a business is relying on personal savings or company sales for funding rather than outside investors. So using your own personal savings or your sales. So crowdfunding, on the other hand, is financing a business through many small donations or investments through a platform like Kickstarter or Indiegogo. So crowdfunding, so you'll find people who are interested in your business, um, who are interested to donate or invest in your business. So that's crowdfunding. You will find someone who is willing to invest or donate in your business. So next is the third is self-employment taxes applied to sole proprietorships. So owners must pay self-employment taxes on the business income. Next is business continuity ends with the death or departure of the owner. Because the owner and the sole proprietorship are one, if the owner dies or becomes incapacitated, then the business dies with them and the money and assets of the business become part of the individual's estate. So the assets and money are subjected to inheritance taxes and can have great impact on employees of the sole proprietorship. So if an owner dies, someone should file the dead owner an estate tax, which his business and assets will become part of the individual's estate. So next is a growing business needs the right business structure. So with so much to consider in building a business, including writing a business plan, raising capital, staying inspired, and knowing when to invest full-time in your startup dream, the ease of sole proprietorship can feel like a relief. You can begin work without formal registration, and there are minimal upfront costs involved in securing your business name and appropriate licenses. Yet be sure to do your homework when you begin to take advantages of the ease of launching a sole proprietorship. As you move through the startup phase, so time day by day, or as time goes by, our business progresses. So co-working spaces like WeWork can also provide support, giving you access to a global community of business leaders and offering flexible monthly leasing agreements. So as you grow, however, it's essential to be cognizant of the risks associated with sole proprietorships. Be sure to protect yourself and your personal assets in hiring staff or entering into debt. So even if you are engaging as a sole proprietorship, you should not let your guard down. So until then, take advantages of the freedom, ease, and affordability of the sole proprietorship structure. It's been a formative stepping stone for many entrepreneurs previously, and can certainly provide the flexibility you need to launch your startup and set yourself up for future success. So um, even if sole proprietorship is easy, affordable, or um, you are it is showing freedom, we should still be mindful of the risks, be mindful of the disadvantages of if you pursue sole proprietorship. So let us uh, let us be informative of this information for us to avoid ourselves from bankruptcy or failure. So that's all. Thank you.